Jimmy Chin, the director of the movie that you just so I'm going to throw to you guys pretty early on because I know you have a bunch of questions, but I'm just going to start with the impetus of this film. You know, when did you first know you were going to make a movie about Alex, and then when did you learn it was going to be about El Capitan and his climb with that?
Right. Well, first of all, just I have to say thank you all for coming out tonight.
Give yourselves a round of applause. Supporting these movies. Put up on the socials, make people jealous.
Yeah, this is a really special weekend, really special Friday night because we've been on the tour and, you know, Telluride Film Festival, Toronto Film Festival, and we had like a premiere, but this is kind of the first, you know, public audience that paid for tickets to come see it, and it's just
really supporting, not just showing up.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just amazing, and after 3 years of work, it's great to see this theater packed, you know, so thank you so much. But I would say the idea for making a film about Alex came about around after the previous film that I made with my wife Chai, Meru, and
who's seen Meru?
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah,
awesome.
Who's seen Meru by the? Oh,
there
wow.
we go. Everybody else, you should definitely check it out.
And then, actually, how many people here are climbers? Out of curiosity. Oh wow, that's a good number of people.
Good even.
Yeah. Well, you know, I started playing with the idea of doing a film about Alex. Around that time, because a lot of people were like, "What are you doing next? What's the next film you want to make?" And I kind of was thinking about, well, who'd make a great subject, and I also, you know, realized after examining like kind of all the people that I'd ever worked with over 20 years, and some of the kind of top athletes in multiple different disciplines, whether it was snowboarding or mountain climbing or rock climbing or base jumping or whatever, that, you know, Alex was truly, even among his peer group, I mean, he's an anomaly among a peer group of anomalies. You know, like, these are people who ski Everest and, you know, like, snowboard, like Travis Rice, or, you know, they're incredible athletes. But even among his peer group, and myself included, yeah, people kind of recognize that he's just on a totally different level. And I'd never seen anybody who could do what Alex does at that level of technical difficulty, where the stakes are that high and the consequences are that high for that kind of sustained amount of time, and execute perfectly, you know, knowing that I mean, you know, when you're soloing 512 or 513 in Yosemite, the nuance of the movement at that level is
it's insane, the crux. Yeah.
I mean, it's world-class athleticism, and, you know, so I knew that he was special, and as you see, he's special in a lot of ways. And so we talked about it, and my wife actually didn't know him as well as I did. I'd been filming and climbing with him for 10 years, and we'd shot on a lot of like kind of high consequence types of shoots. And she went to talk to him and asked him a lot of questions and tried to get to know him. And Alex actually told her, you know, hey, if you're gonna make a feature doc, we should do it. You know, I want to solo El Cap. And my wife is, you know, born and raised on the Upper East Side and isn't really a climber, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that sounds great." And I called her that night. I'm like, "How'd your conversation go with Alex?" And she said, "Hey, he seems great. He's a little odd, a little awkward, and he said he wants to solo El Cap." And I just like gasped. I was like, "He did not say that," because he's never said that to any of his friends, and we kind of try not to even think about it because we knew that, you know, given the things that he'd done, kind of the only logical thing left for him to do was to free solo El Cap, and like we didn't even want to think about it. And so actually after we had that conversation, I decided with Chai not to do I said, let's take some time off. I don't know if I'm ready to take that burden on. And we actually walked away from the film for 6 months, and had to answer some really tough questions in order to get to that point of whether we wanted to make the film.
And what were the things that Alex expressed to you that convinced you that you were able to do this film with him? Was it the fact that he was just going to do it regardless of the fact that there was a film crew
Yeah,
there?
we had to answer several questions. I mean, we had to answer, well, first of all, if we wanted to kind of carry that burden, are we willing to carry the burden? Because, of course, the main issue and the first thing that you think about is worst case scenario. What does that look like? How is that going to make you feel? Are you, culpable if you cause it, or could you cause something to go wrong? And there's all these different things around it. But I ended up having this conversation with my good friend John Krakauer, the author, and being the wise sage mentor friend of mine, he just asked me a bunch of questions instead of making suggestions or giving advice. He just said, well, is he going to do it anyways, whether you film it or not? And I was like, yeah, probably. And he asked, well, you've been filming with him for 10 years. You know him really well. Are you in the best position to be the person that does film it if he does do it? And I was like, yeah, probably. And then it was, do you trust his judgment? And that last one, was harder to answer, but given what I'd seen him do and the decision-making process he has in a lot of previous experiences, I mean, I did trust, his decision-making.
Now, obviously, Chai is such a brilliant filmmaker as well, and the fact that you guys are able to collaborate and add your different elements of videography is awesome. I mean, did you guys always see it as what it turned out to be, sort of this intimate story, within the van, the relationship, and then also the climbing? Because obviously anybody could have made a video about him climbing El Cap, but this is much more than that.
Yeah, well, I'd say that, Chai and I bring very different things to the table, and her background is, serious nonfiction, documentary, feature-length filmmaking, and I have my background filming and shooting in the kind of vertical realm, but both of us had a strong intention of making a film that was much deeper than a climbing film or a highlight reel for Alex. And we're always looking for a story that has a narrative and that kind of confronts, universal challenges and truths, and that, hopefully speak to people on multiple levels. And, I obviously was really kind of enamored with the idea that we wanted to, if we were going to make this film, that we really wanted to push kind of the cinematography and push, how we shot it so that it could kind of live up to and do justice to his accomplishment. And Chai was really focused on the narrative and kind of the verite aspects of the film, and really capturing who Alex was, what makes him tick, and then clearly, when he meets this woman, Sani, and this kind of budding relationship starts to happen, that was something that, Chai spent a lot of time thinking about, and she can also relate. She's married to a climber, and I think that she also wanted to address it so that it wasn't like the normal trope, of like some sort of helpless woman waiting for her. I mean, Sani's this incredible character because she stands up for herself, and she's confident, and she's articulate emotionally, and she can kind of push Alex in a way that he's never really been pushed before. And I think that was helpful in kind of really bringing the film together.
it's funny talking to Alex because he says those moments are actually the most difficult, the ones in the van. And it's funny, you guys have a bunch of shots of the crew in the van shooting him, which I'm not sure if you guys can actually get the scale of how big it was in there.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
how many
it's
people
a
were in
very
there
small,
at a time.
you know, when you have like your DP Chai on the ground, the sound guy with the boom in the passenger seat, and then the AC in the other seat all squeezed back there, and Alex is having like the most vulnerable, intimate conversations of his entire life.
Eating from a skillet.
Yeah, eating off his spatula. You know that, and that was really special in the sense that, you know, these kind of shoots after 2.5 years of filming, or 2 solid years of filming with somebody, that's exactly what's supposed to happen. Like, you know, the film crew kind of just becomes an extension of your life, and the barriers come down, and you get caught saying all kinds of terrible things like, no, I'm not going to take you into consideration when I free solo.
Gotta get those moments, man. Now we've talked about the technical aspects of the van, but let's talk about the mountain and the crew that you got, and the cinematography that you got. I mean, it was absolutely incredible, and the guys that you got to shoot this were amazing. How did you get this group together?
The criteria was, there's some very, you know, basic criteria for this job, which was you had to be a full professional climber. Like, there's just no chance that, you know, we could expend any energy having to worry about whether or not somebody's going to make good decisions on El Cap and like could move around El Cap efficiently, move really quickly, because Alex is the fastest climber in the world in this kind of terrain. And you also have to be so good that the climbing aspects and the safety systems were second nature, because you still had to film. And you also had to be an incredible filmer and operator. So that pretty quickly narrows down the the pool. And literally there's only like a handful of people that I can call, and these are some of the people that I called for a lot of my projects or bigger shoots. And Mikey Schaefer being like oftentimes my
So good.
my number one call, even though as you know, the joke is that he's the DP that can't look at what he's shooting.
Those are some of the best moments where
Yeah.
he's emotionally
So,
invested.
you know, you're like, wait, is this good for his career or bad for his career? But he's a total badass. You know, I mean, he climbs 514. He has done first ascents all over the world, alpine climber. For those of you that climb, I mean, he's freed Cerro Torre, you know, free climbed it. I mean, that's with a rope, but like he's a badass, and he's also super tech with like cameras and shooting, and he's he has so much respect from this slightly younger generation, well, from all of his peers, because he's got tons of street cred. And then we had the rest of the crew, a little bit younger, but all professional climbers, like Shane Lempe, who has like the solo speed record on the Salafe, you know, on El Cap. I mean, they're all like really incredible. But yeah, that team was really extraordinary on multiple levels, because they had to function as these single unit camera teams with no AC, no audio guy, no rigger. Like, they had to go in and be able to wrap in with 1,000 feet of line, have all their food and water for the day, know exactly what they were going to shoot, and then be able to get themselves out quickly at the end of the night, haul all the ropes up, and then hike out. You know, I mean, these were huge days. But the emotional kind of challenges were very, you know, difficult as well, because they're all of his friends, and we had to kind of maintain this neutral space with Alex. You know, we couldn't be encouraging, we couldn't be discouraging. We kind of just held this kind of safe space as friends, but you know, there's just tough moments, like when we knew his ankle was still hurt and he decided to go up and give it a shot. And what do you know, it was really tough.
These are tough decisions. Now I promised I was going to throw to you guys. So yeah, if you have any questions, just throw your hands up. Yeah, right there.
first of all, thank you. That was amazing. You know what's going to happen, but I still felt like I was going to throw up the whole time. Like, holy shit.
That's a good point, actually. I want to say,
Right?
did everybody know, Alex was going to make it? I mean,
Yeah.
there's some
I mean,
people
it'd
that
be
got
awful
dragged.
if you didn't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, actually do the climb. 'Cause
I mean, that
there's
would
that
be
point where
awful.
he doesn't do it, and then you always knew he was going to do the climb. But
Okay.
sorry.
No. I just wanted to know what, I mean, I hate to say it because this was amazing and like what you guys did, what he did was awesome. But is there anything that you guys want to do next from like the vertical realm of filming? The next Meru, the next El Cap that you're like, we got to do this. I hope someone does it so we can capture it.
No. We definitely joke about the fact that we are not going to do Free Solo 2. Like, I can't age that many years in 2 years again.
You see it on your face, man, when
Yeah.
that final shot when he makes it.
Yeah,
that look on
I
your
mean,
face.
we literally woke up with that idea, and I mean, I woke up with the worst case scenario every single day for 2 years. It's like the first thing, because the pressure of the film was always present. There was always something to do about the film. There was always, it was kind of ever present, and that was a lot to carry for a long time. And and then it gets more feverish pitch as you got closer and closer and closer, and it was just so much pressure, and with the crew, and still trying to be objective and trying to make a film, and but no, we are not gonna make another. I don't think I can survive another Meru, first of all, but we have some films on the docket that we're really excited about. So
Awesome. I think there was another one back there. Yeah.
To what extent did you factor in the audience in terms of understanding the incredible accomplishment that he did? Like, I know you could have filmed it just from the ground and he could, documented it happening, but what decisions did you make in terms of how close you got, or whether, it was a drone or close by, in order so that the everyday person could understand how unbelievably incredible this is? And was Alex mic'd at all, or was that
yes, he was
boom
mic'd.
He was mic'd the
all
whole
the
time.
time. We had
like with a little pack thing.
In his chalk bag.
Oh, okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
I heard the nat sound, but I couldn't.
Yeah, so he has
okay.
this little chalk bag with a
Thank
zipper
you.
in it, which is now Black Diamond and his sponsors made the Alex Honnold El Cap Free Solo chalk bag, like the one that he used. They stopped making that one, so it was an old one, and they re-released it. And anyways, it's
Good
kind
move,
of funny.
good move.
But there's a zipper in it, and we put a Zaxcom, like a recorder in it, and then it ran through a hole in his shirt and then up on his chest. So it was like the least, kind of out of the way, or the most out of the way spot to do it. And our sound guy is a great climber as well. And, everybody on the team was a great climber, but he made it so that you could move the chalk bag around, and it was and it wouldn't pull the mic off his chest. But in terms of how we thought about shooting Alex, I had a specific point. What was the specific question again?
Sorry about my two-part question. It was how did you factor in the everyday people, the audience who would be seeing this? So I know you factored Alex in, but how did you factor in the audience so that they would best understand the incredible accomplishment? Sorry.
Right. So, we had to establish a few different characters, right? Tommy we establish in a certain way. Mikey's established. Everybody has these, a few pieces of information to give you enough color to understand kind of their role and who they are. And obviously, El Cap was one of the characters. And, over the course of the film, you're essentially getting to know El Cap from the beginning, how he says, this is Freerider, this is the route I would do. There's actually 6 sections on it that really concern me, and then you start to kind of delve into all the little minutia of each of these different sections, whether it's the monster off with, where you're, it's like the worst Pilates class of your life, and you have to hold a position while someone sands skin off your body and stuff like that. But you get to know the mountain, hopefully, and a big part of that also is kind of building up, people's understanding. I mean, there's a lot of difficult sections, but clearly the free blast was, I mean, that's like horrifying for a climber to think about. 511 slab, which is the rating it gets in Yosemite, is just like a nightmarish grade no matter what. It's just very difficult to climb. But the boulder problem pitch, you know, until you understand that his entire life is being held together by like a quarter of his thumb pad, and the only thing keeping him on is the pressure he's pushing down on the foothold he's on, and the foothold is like this, you know, the outer quarter of a golf ball, you know, like this rounded thing. And then he has to match his, I mean, there was that we definitely built up so that you could enjoy the actual climb.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, next question. I think we have one right there.
First off, super inspiring. I wish I lived a lot closer to Yosemite than New York at this point.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Quick question. We talked a lot in the film about how Alex deals with the emotions of the climb. I'm wondering how you, as a filmmaker and a friend, deal with being up there and watching him doing this extremely dangerous sport and being able to be at the top of your game and get these shots that you really only have one chance to get.
Yeah. So the question is how do we deal with kind of the managing our fear and emotions during something like this climb? And, you know, that's something that we addressed all the time during this production. And, you know, over the course of the production, we also kind of continually addressed it because there were a couple issues. One being that the amount of time that we were spending up on the wall was very significant, even for professional climbers. I mean, we spent so much time up there. The exposure to the risks often catch up to people, the numbers, like the statistics. So it was always a reminder that, you know, you're a climber first, you're a filmer second, and you have to cover all your bases as a climber always. And you never, like, no matter how rushed or like what shots we need to get, you have to like make sure you're still climber first. And so on the night before, and this is an ongoing thing, but the night before we went into the shoot, you know, that was a very conscious conversation I had with the crew saying, okay, you know, focus on what you're doing. You know, do not get distracted because you're being a climber, and then you have all the pressures of like, do I have enough batteries? Do I have enough memory cards? You know, I mean, there's just so many things on the filming side that you have to think about too, that like adding one more layer of like your very good friend free soloing next to you on like a 512 corner on the enduro corner or whatever. I mean, it's enough to probably potentially tip the scale. And so having told the team, that was my mantra as well, because, you know, inevitably you're like, oh God, here he comes. He's like ropeless, like, you know, there's all the things that you could think about, and then you had to stop yourself and say, stay focused on your job. What are you doing right now? And there was a lot to think about. You know, all the locking beaners locked? Is everything like, are all the ropes that you have hanging off of you like clipped tightly so that they don't unravel and fall down and hit Alex? Or are your cameras, you know, clipped off to other clip-in points? You know, don't forget to press record, which, you know, in these kind of situations is something that could absolutely happen.
People might not know this, but you were actually shooting the magazine story for National Geographic at the same time. So you're doing 3 things at the same time.
Yeah, I'm actually more like 12. But yeah, no, I was shooting this. I was shooting the magazine story at the same time. So I literally had a still camera screwed on top of my film camera. So while I was filming with one hand, I was firing shots with the other hand because.
Round of applause for that, guys. Yeah. Come on. There we go. That's all the time we have for So Sorry. Yeah. Tell your friends. Free Solo in theaters now. Jimmy, anything else you want to say?
Yeah, no, thank you so much again. And you know, these films really live and die by word of mouth. And I mean, you can do all the marketing in the world, but it really is word of mouth. So if you spread the word and got people to theaters, that would be amazing. Thank you so much.
One more time.
Awesome.